Hey guys, it's me, Maurice. And I haven't done one of these live streams in a while, but I figured that I would. Um, for those who are like OG Maurice watchers, because there are many, whether you're a subscriber or not. Um, I used to do these live streams like a year ago when I was like live streaming like almost every day, and I would do like watch me work. And basically, like I would bring you guys along the process of work that I would have to get done. And I would do a balance between like creative work and then office work. So, like, say if I had like a performance book or something like that, I would show you guys the process of me designing and making an invoice and then sending it out to whoever booked me for the performance. And then in between that, I would do like Music Monday, Wave Wednesday, Fire Friday, and basically you guys would watch me like produce music, record vocals, or just whatever creative thing I was doing. If I was doing like a photo shoot, I would live stream the process. So today I happen to be working at Starbucks because I'm on the go, I'm on the road, and for those who don't know, I've been in the DMV area, and basically just out here selling CDs, right? So I'm show. Um, Actually, it's probably in my other bag, but it's okay because I'm working on a new batch of CDs, so I'll show you guys the process. So, yes, CDs. You remember those? So I have physical CDs that I'm selling, and it's with my project Infatuate World of Neptune, abbreviated I1. And basically, it's divine for those who are familiar with the previous project. And I rebranded it for the 5th year anniversary. And basically, I wasn't really feeling the vibes of the first version just because I feel like I've evolved and grown as an artist. And, I just kind of peaked certain like hidden things in the background that just didn't resonate with the truth of me and how I feel. I express myself as an artist. So I revamped the project and rebranded it to something that's more aesthetically pleasing and just my vibe. So that's why there's a new cover and a new title for the project. And so as I was out here, dealing with an unfortunate circumstance because my car broke down out here, I was just like, look, I got to make something happen. I can't rely on people to help me and save me. And grateful for the people who do, grateful for the people who help and save. But um, I have to be that for myself. So at the very least, I had CDs on me. I have my computer, and I was like, look, let's burn some CDs and sell this music. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm grateful because I'm really close to 100 sales. I actually made like I want to say like over 80 in sales. Um, and I'm like, either I said this last time, but like actually last time I was here, I made sales that day. So I sold maybe like I sold a copy, but then got donations, right? Um, so basically, what I ended up I made back that day. But I had like 20 or 22 sales to reach 100. So I was low on CDs. And so now what I'm going to be doing today is making new CDs. And um, yeah, so I'll just show you guys the process. So actually, the last time I was in Starbucks was a few days ago. I was focused on a newsletter because I've been building an email list of everyone that's been purchasing thus far. And in the email list, I was like, I've just been like, hey, can I keep your email? And then I'll give you guys an update on what I've been doing. So the last time I was working, I was drafting up the newsletter, and I basically gave people an update on my situation, just shared thanks and gratitude for everybody that's been supporting and who either purchased or donated. And yeah, and just like, just let them know, like, look, this is my situation. I was really close to leaving. you know I already had like the tickets booked, and a towing company set to travel south, and unfortunately the towing company was not legitimate, so I had to like reschedule and everything or whatever, but luckily I still had funds saved. So that's a plus. And I just had to reschedule. But ideally, the plan was to move before it got told. So that's what we're gearing up for now. And yeah, so this time around, my goal is to make an additional $500. So I'm excited for that. I mean, I already last month I made 1,000, and so like half were sales, half were donations. And there's a lot of people who do both. Some people will say, my CDs are $10, and so some folks will, just say like, give me like a 20 and just say, here, keep the change, and I hope you get through your situation. And so, and I figured, since people took the time to like support me and help me out, I feel like the least I could do is not only update them with my situation, and then of course like rehash, which is what I've learned in like door to door sales, um, which is essentially just like, you know, after closing a sale, seeing if you can tap into that person's network and maybe get them to like recommend it to a friend, or or um, you know, upsell. Because I mean, hello, this is business, right? We're in America. It's a capitalist country, and I mean, if it works for the people at the top, we should be able to make it work for us who are, getting it up out the mud at the bottom, and just grinding and working really hard. So, because we all deserve abundance and prosperity and financial success, and just to be able to take care of ourselves. Because is that too much to ask for, right? So, yeah. Anyway, so grateful to the people who've been, you know, purchasing and donating and everything, and just helping me out, and really like showing that there's people who believe in me. And I don't know anybody out here. I knew some folks out here, but I've really been out here like on my own, and just creating a network for myself. And there's some people who we don't resonate with. But I'm grateful for the people who are like genuinely kind and supportive and uplifting, and just give me grace for my situation and respect the hustle, um, and just support, and that's all I ask, because my whole thing is like, look, you ain't gotta love me, you ain't gotta like me. I just ask that you at least hear my situation and support, and just treat me with respect like I do everybody else. And then, and if it gets beyond that, then we can take it there, because I'm with the smoke. I'm with the shits these days. Not literally. So there's that. But yeah, anyway, with that said, because like, let's not forget I am from Trenton. And funny enough, like, it took me being out of Trenton to really develop that gangster. Because this, like, I don't have time for the shenanigans this time around, especially in business, because there's people who try to run one over on you, especially when you're just trying to live, right? But anyway, that's beside the point. So now, with all that said, um, I am going to eat while I work on my stuff, because we all gotta eat out here, right? But of course, because I am who I am, my experience is a little bit different than others, and people are so concerned. Do you want to know what I'm eating today? Do you want to do you want to know what's on Narisse's menu today? Are you that curious? Whatever. Either way, I'm drinking tea because it's a little chilly, and I have a double smoked bacon sandwich because it's a breakfast sandwich, and I can at least eat a little something, and try to nourish my body like everybody else here. And yeah, pay attention to that. Don't you love the timing of it all? Anyway, we're blessed and highly favored over here and rebuke anything otherwise. All right, so very old school process. You know, I know it's very like 2000s, but I mean, it's been selling. So, I mean, if it's not broke, then don't fix it. But speaking of fixing broken things, you know, I leave my computer for a day and then somehow it's warped. But it's all right because, you know, anything thrown my way, I always win anyway. So, um, we have CDs that we got from Staples. I have a rose gold metallic Sharpie because that's my aesthetic. I love rose gold. Um, and I'm just going to write my name and the project on here and then just give you guys a little update. So the other day, my phone was being funny. What's new? Um, and I'm like trying to write and like speak at the same time. But the thing is, the screen was going off, right? And so I stopped by a shop in the mall and they said it was like the LCD screen was off. So I looked into it and I was like, all right, let me see if I can get this repaired. Because mind you, I make sales on this phone, right? This is the phone that I use to track my email list, send the emails, because not only do I sell CDs, I also sell MP3s of the project as well. So if people don't have CD players, because I know people are like, you still sell CDs? And, you know, I'm like, yes, I have CDs and MP3 links. So if you're interested in that, you can email me and I will send that to you. And, you know, Cash at me or Venmo me. We'll put the info below. But yeah, so that's where I do my emails and everything, right? And so my phone was acting weird. So what I did was see if I could get it repaired. And you know, they had the nerve to tell me that it was going to be $250, and I'm like, girl, I need to save that money. $250, $250. No, that's money that needs to be received to me, okay? For the headache of it all. $250? Technically, to be very specific, it was $249. And I'm like, no, that's what I need to receive in sales, okay? $249 is what I need in reparations. $249 is what I need in donations, actually, for the headache of it all. But I'm like, okay, let me just, you know, because the one guy told me it would be around 100. So I was like, all right, 100 is not too bad. You know, I received that. And so then when I went to a spot and they were like, yeah, it's gonna be 250. I'm like, I'm not spending that. I'll receive that in my bank account, in my savings, in my cash app, in my Venmo. Thank you very much. But yeah, no, I'm just not doing that because, like I said, I'm saving to move into a better work situation, right? So, with that said, I was like, nah, we're not doing that. So, I basically, and mind you, I can be quite like handy when it comes to like fixing things up myself, actually. Like, I've fixed up several things around the house before, like switching mods and you know, when my dad changed the fan in my room, like I helped him build that. I've like, you know, I've worked on my like car, like under the hood a little bit. I'm understanding like the way around the fuse box and stuff like that. So like, you know, when it comes to like mechanical, like simple things, like I don't have a problem like learning the gist of how things are created and then how it works and then putting it together myself. So what I did was I was like, you know what? Let me just look up how much it costs to replace the screen myself. And it was like, I don't know, altogether because the back of the screen was broken. And I was like, you know what, let me just see how much that costs. That was like $8. And then altogether, for the new screen was 80. And then plus tax and shipping, which was supposed to be next day. Um, so, um, I had to wait a little bit, but that's fine. It is what it is. But that's a reminder that I need to cancel Amazon Prime, because y'all try it. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Mr. Bezos. How are you doing? Are you having a good day, sir? Can you believe I used to work at Whole Foods? You know, and I was a great employee, might I add. And I only say that humbly because I've been in management. So, I understand what it takes to be a good worker when managing. And I wasn't a manager at that job. I was just a shopper, putting together the meals that people put together. And it's honorable work. And I respect the people who do it because I've done that work. Anyway, that's beside the point though. Because, I feel like workers don't get enough credit, especially people who do sanitation work. I feel like people try to throw a lot of shade and like trash. But, every, everybody makes trash, and there's people who have to handle it. And I pray and, say protections for the people who do that work. So, when people try to throw shade to it, and plus, I dated somebody that worked in sanitation. So, when I see people try to use that as like a negative, it's like, but you make trash and somebody has to handle the trash that you make. So, you know, be respectful to the people who do that job. And, I would say prayers for them because that's not a job that everybody wants to do. And it's not an easy job either. So, so for those out there in the world that do the work of sanitation, may you be blessed, may you be protected. Um, and thank you. And, make sure you cleanse your energy and your frequencies at the end of the day because it is heavy work to do energetically, spiritually. And I send love and light to y'all. Anyway, with that said, um, tangent, darling, tangent. Um, but anyway, back to the phone, right? Because that's what we were getting to. So the phone, it take like, it was like about like 100, like 120 about the cost for me to get a replacement and then me just do it myself, right? So I was like, you know what? I've fixed things up before. I have a little bit of a mechanical thing that I can put together. And so I did that yesterday. The parts came in. And funny enough, I didn't exactly get to finish it, right? So I learned how to um, break down like everything that was in the phone, right? And so I took all the pieces out and then, learned where every section was, the motherboard, the daughter board, I guess is what one guy called it. And in the connection between the two and, the speaker, the earpiece, the camera and all that stuff. So I'm learning about like the inner mechanics of how it's all constructed. And so I'm taking like eons to like write this out, right? Anyway, and so I'm learning that process, and of course I'm on a time crunch because I'm at the library, and I had to wait for the order to come in, and so, all right, hold on, y'all, because I'm like, we're not about to mess this up. This is starting to look like hieroglyphics, which is probably my native tongue, but anyway, it's not my best writing, but so I'm learning the inner mechanics, right? And then once I dismantle like everything that's in the phone, I go to transfer it into the replacement phone, and some of the pieces don't fit. But mind you, it wasn't the original manufacturer. So I was like, okay, maybe I might have to like shave down some pieces or something like that. So I was like, All right, let me reverse engineer how I did it. Try to put it into the new phone, not to operate, but just to see what all fits and what doesn't fit, and see like if I need to like rearrange everything or whatever. And then in doing that, I'll learn how to like rebuild the phone. So, um, but then I had to leave, so none of that happened. And so I ended up fixing it in my car in the middle of the night with a flashlight. Um, and I didn't need the replacement phone. I ended up fixing my actual phone because I knew it wasn't anything wrong with it to begin with. I was just like, it just randomly started glitching. And I'm just like, let me find out the hackers, are playing on my phone because they do that. Um, and so I'm like, okay, not only did I fix the phone, but I don't need to use the replacement phone. And I can probably just send that back and get a refund because that was almost $100 that can be saved and, invested. So that's what I'll end up doing. So after I finish putting together these CDs, and I learned something new. And I was a little bit upset because I really wanted to get it done and just have it finished. But I had to give myself grace because it was the first time I did something new, right? And so, because it was the first time I was doing something that it was new and I was learning, and so sometimes I could be a little overly ambitious, but it ended up being for the better anyway because, like I said, I ended up fixing the phone. So I'm grateful for learning a new skill, right? And saving money, learning new skills and saving money. Look at the blessings. So I was very grateful for the experience, even though it was a bit irritating to deal with. And so, and I feel like the next thing is my computer because now, um, the last time I used it was the other night when I was working on the newsletter and burning the CDs. And so then, and me taking the laptop out now to film and work on my next task, I noticed that the computer is like a little warped, and it was not like that before. I wonder how that happened because these devices just there's always something with these devices, right? Um, but it's all right because it's just another learning experience. So this is what the CD looks like, right? So literally just a plain CD that we got from Staples. Okay, yes to the money, money, snapping on my cash app. Okay, amen. So anyway, because we break out the house and build our own. I mean, at this point, I probably could build a house. Um, you know, breaking out the house. Anyway, so this is literally what it looks like. I mean, I guess you could say it's a signature, which is, I don't know, it's probably worth more than what I'm selling it for. But I'm humble, right? You got to start somewhere. You got to start from $10. So this is my $10 CD. That's my name on it. Infatual World of Neptune. It's an MP3 CD. I only put MP3 because burn it on when I burn it on what's it called? iTunes. When I burn it on iTunes, it uh, gives me options of like MP3, audio, or something else. And I'm like, what's the difference? As long as it plays, right? And so some people have said like, oh, it's not playing on here. Um, it doesn't play on the car, or it doesn't play when I play it in the house or whatever. And so I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I burned it all the same, so I don't know why it's not playing, but whatever. So I had audio version as an alternative to, just to appease my customers, you know, and honor the fact that they did purchase from me and they did support my business. And if they said that it's not working, then I want to make sure that I have other options that's helpful to them. I haven't made some lately just because I haven't had that issue show up. So until it does, then I'll address it. Then because I'm sure people come up with creative things. Um, but anyway, um, yeah. So that was another thing that I had to keep in mind, which is all a process, right? And some things I realized you can try to be as prepared, but sometimes you just have to like just go for it and just jump and take the leap in the thing that you want to do, because you don't know everything that you could prepare for until you actually start doing it. And as much as you want to like prepare for every step and be like 100 steps ahead and be like super strategic and all these things, some nuanced details of a situation you don't know until you experience it. For example, like me repairing my car and not, knowing that the non-manufactured version of the phone is going to be shaped a little bit differently, right? But I had to go through that experience and learn it, and ultimately, I didn't even need it. So, and I'm can get my money back. So, so there's that. But you know, I don't know who needs to hear this. Um, but just go for it. Whatever you need to do, because sometimes we hold ourselves back because we feel like we need to be overly prepared or we don't have all the information. And I mean, I'm not saying that that's not important things to do, because it is wise to be overly prepared and have all the information and make sure your details are correct and you do everything right and you have a return policy and a privacy policy and safeguarding and having protections for your customers and everything like that. Like, these are important things, but some things you don't know until you go through situations and you just do the best that you can with what's given to you, or what's made of the situation. So even if you don't have all the answers or you're fearful for whatever reason or doubtful, sometimes you just got to bet on yourself and trust that you'll figure it out, even if it feels like you don't have any resources or no one's with you or you're doing everything by yourself and you feel like the world is against you. Who cares? Like, you know funny enough, even if you're dealing with a situation where like you're building something by yourself and there's like a plethora of people who don't believe in you or try to like attack what you got going on or try to hold you back for whatever reason, those are the same people who probably deal with those same experiences in their own life too. You know, like, we all have situations where people don't believe in us, or we all have situations where people may have doubted us and said, "Oh, you can't do that," or "Why are you trying this? You've already spent years doing this. Why would you want to do something different? You know, why would you want to switch up?" And when you deal with those type of people, now look, I'm not gonna act like I got all the answers because I don't. And I feel like, but I will say, at one point I used to let that like break me down and like make me fearful and paranoid to even just like go for it. Now I've transmuted that to rage, so we're working on it. However, my point is like, you know, as much as it's easy for us to be judgmental to other people, a lot of times we project onto other people things that we have probably experienced, And I'm not saying I'm perfect with that. I'm not. Like, I know that there may have been times I've done that myself, but you know, my point is, don't let it get to you, and don't let it stop you. Like, oh, my mom said that I can't do this, and that's my mom, and I love my mom, Okay, but your mom isn't you, and she can't live your life for you. And sometimes we have to do it even without the support of our loved ones. And sometimes you just got to do it anyway. You know what I mean? And usually you'll find more support in strangers than the people that you know, because sometimes the people that you know just think of you as, oh, that's so and so from around the way. That's so and so that grew up on over there on that block over there. And then when you meet strangers who don't know you from a can of paint, or at least shouldn't, um, you know, they can experience you from a clean slate and just hear, say if you want to do, like, I don't know, painting, and everybody in your family knows you as, I don't know, you cut grass or something like that. And it's like, why are you painting? You supposed to cut grass. This is random, but just go with me. And you want to paint. And even if you're not good at it, but it's something that intrigues you and that's what you want to do, you're not going to find the support from the people who think they know you. Just go and paint, and then find people that's going to look at your paintings and be like, oh, wow, that's dope. Because some people are going to look at your paintings, and maybe the people who think they know you are going to be like, oh, that's shit. Okay, so what? They can think that. But there's other people out in the world that are like, actually, what you're doing is really dope. I love what you have to offer. I want what you have. Let me support your business. Let me support your art. Let me support what you got going on. You know? And it's okay if it's not the people that you grew up knowing. Because sometimes the people who grew up knowing you unfortunately become your biggest haters. And it's frustrating, but so what? Because there's people who see the best in you, there's people who will root for you, there's people who believe in you, and there's people that are for you. And there's people who aren't. And that's okay. That's okay. So, just focus on the people who are for you. Okay? I mean, I literally say that in one of my songs. Correspondence. And yes, I did spell it correspondence on SoundCloud. So be sure to check it out. But the lyric is, you know, stay aligned with those who want the best for you. Do what you love that brings out the best in you. It'll lead you to what you want to do. Whoever thinks it ain't cool, they ain't for you. I mean, it don't get simpler than that. Now, I'm not saying that's the easiest thing to do, but I mean, it's better than doing what you don't want to do, or doing things that you feel like is going to please other people, but you're miserable, or you're unhappy, or you feel stagnant in your life because you're trying to please mom and dad, but you're not happy. You have to live for you. So, that's why I'm out here working on my CDs. And, and I mean that this is my real life, because I've been wanting to travel for a while, but I hadn't, because I felt like I had to be home to look out for my parents. And, and unfortunately, you know, with my father passing, it gave me a sense of freedom to live for me and just take a chance on me, because I felt like I had to be home to look out for him and then be there for my mom. And with, you know, my own situation, I wanted to pursue music. I wanted to get on the road. I wanted to see the world. I didn't want to be boggled down to my hometown. I had more to offer. And, you know, I was just like, look, they live their life. I can't live for them, but I have to break out of this, small town mentality. You know, I'm not, I don't see limitations for myself. I know that there's more that I can do, more that I could be, more that I can see in the world. And I just made the decision to put me first and break out of anything that was trying to hold me back or stifle my energy, or anything that just doesn't resonate with freedom. Because I mean, we all deserve to be free. And anything blocking that, that ain't God. So, I was like, look, I feel like even if my parents don't agree, they should, or I mean, they really ain't have no choice but to respect it because I'm grown, I'm my own person, and I have to live for me. And that involved me pursuing my music. And in the beginning, it wasn't easy because I was like, like, what if people don't like me? What if people, you know, what if people from my hometown put together a group chat and say all these negative things about me and people hear about it and say they're not going to support me? How asinine of an experience would that be? I mean, and I only say that because people do that. I mean, it happened to Lady Gaga. Like, I mean, it's happened to multiple people, actually. I'm pretty sure, I remember her saying that a group of people from her school, back when, before she was Lady Gaga and she was, Stephanie Germanata, and you're like, oh, Stephanie wants to be a singer. She's not going to be anybody. Who are those people? But we know who Lady Gaga is, though. So, I mean, there are people who put the time and energy together to tear you down and say, oh, yeah, we know this person from back in the day and she wants to do this and they're weird and, they did this and they did that. And the crazy part is, when it's people that you once considered like friends and loved ones. But I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Not today. But I say all that to say, you know, it is what it is. People going to do what they're going to do. But really, the only thing that you can do is like, I mean, this is a word for whoever needs to hear it, but this is really a word for myself. It's just like, keep going. Because I do let that shit piss me off. I'm not going to lie. Because I be wanting to fight people. I'm like, because my thing is, if you have a problem with me, tell me so I can fix the problem. But if you're not going to tell me, then what you talking about? And some people will come up with problems years later after you already gave them multiple times to try to fix the problem. And to me, at that point, it's like, instead of talking, we should just fight. But that's not healthy. That's not healthy. That's not healthy. So that's why I say, like, nowadays, from like being scared and paranoid, it's turned to rage. And now I just be wanting to tussle with people because I feel like that's the only solution at this point. Because I'm, you don't know how many times I've had heart to heart with people. I tried to be the bigger person. I tried to go to church with people. I said prayers for folks. I asked God, I don't know what these people want from me. But at that point, you just got to let it go. So I'm like, look, it's but so much healing, personal development, you know, prayer that you could do for people who just don't want to understand you. And I spent a lot of time like trying to like change my whole life for people who just didn't want to care for me the way that I cared for them. And that's all right. That's okay. But I'm like, okay, I can't live for you people. You know? Like, I can't live for y'all. I try to show my love and affection and that I'm willing to do the work. And it's not enough. So I made the decision like, look, at the end of the day, I'm in this body. This is my spirit. This is my soul. And I have to live with this body until, God calls me. And I want to do everything that I can to enjoy the experience and really make me happy because you will drive yourself crazy trying to make other people happy. Actually, speaking of, if you think of the Erykah Badu lyric, I work on pleasing me because I can't please you. That's why I do what I do. My soul flies free like a willow tree. Doobie, doobie, doobie. Apple Tree by Erica Badu. Beautiful song. Um, and she has many a song that has gotten me through some tough times. But actually, let's run it from the top of that bar. She said, "I pick my friends like I pick my fruit." And Granny told me that when I was only a youth. Hold on. I pick my friends like I pick my fruit. And Granny told me that when I was only a youth. I don't walk around trying to be what I'm not. I don't waste my time trying to get what you got. I work on pleasing me because I can't please you. That's why I do what I do. My soul flies free like a willow tree. Read to read to read. But you got to pay for these services. But my point is, you know, you got to live for you, man. And pick your friends like you pick your fruit. When you go shopping for fruit, you pick the you try to pick the cleanest, the best fruit that's gonna last the longest, right? And ideally, that's what we should do for friends. And maybe I didn't pick my friends well enough. I don't know. But and at the same time, like the circumstance, I just try to look at it from a perspective like maybe they were good friends at that time, because I look back to certain situations, and even though it might not be what I would like it to be, and what I fought really hard to keep it as, it's okay if it's not what it is anymore. But I'm grateful for the times when it was good. And I'm grateful for the love, and I'm grateful for the memories. I'm grateful for the laughs. I'm grateful for the heart to hearts, because those were very real experiences for me. And I cherish those moments, even if that's not where it is today. And, and I send loving blessings to those people, even when they do stuff to irritate my spirit. And I do still rant and rave about that. I'm not gonna lie. But you know, I try to be optimistic about the circumstances. You know? So, and funny enough, a lot of times I really don't even know what people's problems are. Because like I said, there was a moment in time where I cared enough to go out of my way to ask. I'm like, what's wrong? What did I do? What did I say? And crickets. But then of course, social media. People got a lot to say to social media, and I still don't know what people's problem is. But and at this point, I don't care, because I during the time when I did care was when people took it for granted and used that as an opportunity to kick me while I was down, while I was going through the worst depression of my life, you know. And mind you, I was there for their problems and their situations, and I showed up even when I ain't had no money and this and that, and and even when people weren't communicating the issues with me, I kind of peeped the vibe, and I was like, okay, let me see what I can do to fix it. And it still wasn't enough, right? Okay, so mind you, okay, so the CDs are done. I have one CD that's got a mark on it, so we're not gonna use that. But so I finished writing the CD name. We got Narisse, Infatuate World of Neptune, and then we have the track listing on here, and then I have these envelope sleeves, real simple, real cute. And then, I'm just packaging up my CDs. So when I'm out here hustling, selling, making my sales, and, I have enough to re up before I sell out, because I've sold out of CDs several times. So, this is the process. But anyway, you know, all in all, whatever. It is what it is. Um, like I said, at this point, people got problems with themselves, because I'm like, look, when I ask you what the problem is, you ain't say nothing. And then sometimes years later, people got problems, and I got to hear it through the grapevine, but you can't tell me to my face. But when I asked you in your face, you ain't say nothing. So, to me, I feel like people just exaggerate things, or, And it is what it is. Like I don't have the time to care, but I have the time to like do the work to be the best version of me and try my best to continue to grow and heal and learn because I don't have all the answers. And like I said, I'm not perfect, and I'm still working on my rage because I have the logic to reason and know like the right thing to do and the right thing to say. But when you go through it in life, it's especially when you're dealing with situations where people, places, or things may give you a hard time. It's that's still tough to deal with, like in real life, right? Like if you've ever went to school and you've been bullied by like a group of people and you're just one person and you rarely have anybody have your back, that's a tough experience to go through, and especially as an adult. And that does happen as adults. Like, look, we've all been in workspaces where, people, grown adults, will try to bully you, and grown adults, will give you a hard time. And I'm like, I thought we finished this in high school. We still doing this at our big ages, but they do that, and it's not easy to go through. And now, whereas old me would just be like very timid about it, me now is like, all right, let me just try not to like fight somebody because I been waiting. Okay, yeah, no, let me just try to pray for this person and not curse them because I can. And I try to be bigger and better than that. So I say this humbly that I'm not perfect and I don't care to be perfect. But hopefully, you know the right people could stumble upon this and, you know, hopefully take the blessings and maybe learn from mistakes and heal, evolve, grow, and learn how to protect themselves in the world. Because unfortunately, the world can be a rough place, especially if you're somebody that like is really big on like love and light and we should, be kumbaya and come together and heal through our tough times. I used to be like that, but the world isn't like that, and you know there are people who take advantage of kind folks and use that as a means of thinking that you're weak and will disrespect you for it. And so, unfortunately, but not unfortunately, gratefully, it's forced me to be stronger. It's forced me to be tougher in the world, and it's forced me to have to like just let people know, like, all right, you can mess with me if you want to, but just know it's going to be a detriment to your existence on Earth, one way or another. Maybe tomorrow, maybe in 5 years, but at some point, because I like to see my energy as a reflection, right? Because especially if I don't know you and I don't bother you, and my first interaction with you is out of respect, and you treat me with anything less than that, that energy is going back. It's just going back. Like you want to treat me like trash, then you will be trash. Or if you want to treat me with respect or treat me like a human being, then that could be your experience too. Because let me tell you something. I am first to like champion people. I love to see people win. I love to cheer people on. I love to see people do well. I want people to be in good health. I want to see people achieve their goals and their dreams. And when people are successful, I love that because I wish success for people the way I would like people to wish success for me, right? And, you know, but my thing is like, when I do wish that success for you, don't take me for granted or don't disrespect me in the midst of that because all of those good wishes could come tumbling down, you know? So, yeah, like, and that's a fact. So, that's my only thing. It's like that whole thing of like treat people the way you want to be treated. I mean, why is that so hard? Why is that so complicated? I don't understand. I'm trying to understand. Like, if you want to be treated with love and respect and kindness, and we should just do that. We should just do that. You know, because you know, I feel like there's some like instances where like say if you're like with a group of friends or even like, okay, like for example, and there's no shade to like frats or Greek culture or anything like that. Um, you know, there's because I know they have like that whole like hazing thing where you have to go through that first year of like being treated like shit just to like, make it to the next thing. My whole thing is like, I don't know. I'm not I'm not speaking specifically of frats, but I'm using that as an example. I feel like if there's any type of like system or organization where it's culture to disrespect people, and and then someone says like, look, I don't like how you're treating me, I don't like how you're invading my privacy, I don't like how you're disrespecting me, I don't like that, but then people feel validated in doing that because it's the culture, then something's wrong with the culture. And my thing is like, why isn't anybody acknowledging that, right? why do we just why do we just accept it? Why don't we hold people accountable? Why don't we say, hey, why is this the culture? Why is disrespect the culture? Where does that make any sense? You know what I mean? Why why is that the norm to like shit on somebody or treat people like trash? Why is that normal? Because it shouldn't be. And unless you want that treatment to come back to you, why do we do that to people? I don't understand it. It never made sense to me, in any situation. And my thing is, like, even if you don't like a person, but like, why go out of your way to like, demean another person unprovoked? Like, I still to this day don't get it. And, some people may feel like justified in it, but I'm like, no, it's like, there's never a justification for it unless you want that to hit you back. So I mean, that's why I try to be kind, I try to be respectful, and and loving, and until people aren't, and then I'm not. But anyway, so we got CDs, we got fresh CDs now. um and okay, so here's the thing. I have these really cute iridescent bags that I've been putting my CDs in and I've been selling it in, right? And so in those bags, I would usually put in the flash drives. Now, here's the thing. The flash drives were just like small and I had smaller bags specifically for it. But when I was looking around in like different stores, I didn't have any extra copies of it, or I didn't see it in stores. So I was like, all right, they had like bigger size bags. And so it's just kind of awkward for the flash drive. And I sold out of the flash drive gratefully, okay, because we sell out of our projects. We sell out of the flash drive, selling out of the CDs, I mean, you can't really technically sell out of an MP3. That's the evergreen that keeps growing and keeps giving and keeps building abundance. Um, but, you know, um, so I have these iridescent bags that were originally for the flash drives. And because I sold out of my flash drives, I'm thinking I might use it for the CDs. We'll see. But I feel like that's just like extra packaging. I feel like it's just like a CD and the envelope and the bag. But it's like, it's branding though. Like, it's branding, it's aesthetics. And I'm a girl for aesthetics. So, um, let me show you what I'm talking about. So, and the thing is, okay, my only thing is, I think the CD by itself fits in the bag. I don't know if it fits with the envelope. All right, so this is the bag, right? Real cute. But okay, it feels like a rainbow intergalactic iridescent dream world, which is the world that I would love to create for myself. Not this hellhole that I was born into. But that's another conversation for another time that will be had. But anyway, they don't want me to talk about that. But people want to talk about the drama and the tea, but don't want to address the source. Anyway, all right. So my thing is, all right. I'm gonna see if, all right, this is too much of a tight fit because look, people gonna have to like tussle to get this thing out of here. But I think it's so cute though. That's my only thing. Okay, so yeah, I think it might fit better by itself. So let's try that. All right, we're gonna take this out the envelope. Um, yeah. Okay. Just breaking out the envelope, breaking out the bag, breaking out the house. So okay. Ooh. I mean, and look, and if you see the bottom, it just like goes around the CD so perfectly. So I don't know. I feel like I don't know. It gives more of an aesthetic. And I love aesthetic. We love aesthetics. Anyway, but this is so cute. I love this. Okay, I think if I have enough, this might be the new thing for now. But then again, I did have another idea for like maybe like an extended project, but I don't know. I think I might not do that just because like there's too many logistics, and I want to be a very businesswoman of integrity, even as an independent artist that is, a small business owner. So, you know, we'll just remove this off of the CDs. Yes, remove that, remove that, remove that. Yeah, because I think this just looks cuter. You know what I mean? Especially because like the CD, it doesn't really give anything. It's just like I wrote on it. It's not like a professionally printed CD. Now I did find a place that does that, but I don't want to. I kind of don't want to do that. So yeah, I don't know. All right, so we're gonna see if I have enough for it. Because I'm like, I just got these extra bags, and I might as well use it. Four, five. Okay. I mean, it's only five extra CDs. Yeah, I have enough. I think I do. One, two. Okay, yeah, get that off, get that off. Those, extra like, you know, lint and stuff. All right. Yeah, okay. Honestly, like one. Look how cute these bags are. These bags are so cute. All right. Okay, so there's like a clear side and then there's like the iridescent side. And of course we want the CD to be in front of the clear side. So now it is a little snug, I'm not gonna lie. But it's adorable though. Okay, so yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Because she's cute. I mean, hello. And it kind of goes with like some of the visuals that I've done where I've used like iridescent that I mean, hello, look at the video, like the live stream. Like hello, we got like a gradient of pastel colors that is just, very light and bright. We love that. Um, so, we gotta keep the green world going because when the world is treacherous, we create a world that's lovely. Okay, so, all right, so that's what the back looks like. And then, really cute, really cute. All right, so I'm so excited about this. I thought about it, but because look, actually, I'll show y'all later. I'll show y'all later. Let me just finish this, right? One thing at a time. Yeah, so, and then plus, like, even if you look at the CD, like, you see how the CD kind of has like an iridescent rainbow, like, glow to it? And most CDs kind of do on the back. I mean, hello, it matches. It match. It matches. Like, come on. So, I mean, it's only right. It's only right. So, yeah, adorable. Yeah, I love that for me. So, and then I have like a few left to do. So that was the first thing that I had to do. And so, like, you know how I was explaining to y'all about the whole phone thing? I fixed my phone. You know, like, I've been doing like a little bit of research into hacking and stuff. Not that I still don't want to do that. But I feel like I was dealing with issues on my devices where like I have to learn because sometimes you can't trust these companies. And one like and sometimes in some instances we can't afford these companies to like pin test business or our social media accounts and everything. So I'm like, look, if I gotta sit up here and learn how to code too, then so be it. Now, do I want to learn how to code? No, I don't. I'm not a. What am I? I'm not programming everything. And respect to the coders out there, like the people who know how to code and know how to use Python and all the things. Whether you're on Linux, Python, whatever software it is, that takes time and work. Especially like learning all the commands and stuff. Like I know the basics, but to like build an app or build a website, like that requires a lot of time. And at the same time, like the way technology is advancing right now, we're pretty much not going to even need it because everybody's doing AI, right? AI is the big conversation right now, and all the AI companies are beefing with who's the number one AI. And AI is at a point where you don't even need to know how to code. The AI codes for you. And I mean, they code like visuals, they can code games, they can code apps. So I feel like we're on the brink of a shift in the industry where the people who are the coders and the programmers probably aren't really going to be needed like that unless it's done in the way where programmers are like monitoring and managing the AI, you know. Um, but anyway, I say all this to say, you know, because of like the whole technical things that I've been dealing with, it's forced me to, learn and adapt um, with different computing things. Now, I'm not the best at it, but I know like the basics enough to know like you know what all could be going on. And so anyway, I know there's like software hacks, and then I know there's like hardware hacks, and you know I only say this because maybe you need to be aware in your own electronics or whatever, because it's very real. And, you should protect your information and your data. And, we all have a right to privacy. We all have a right to, like, people not knowing every aspect of our lives, because, quite frankly, it's not people's business. Like security systems getting hacked, people watching you in your homes, like, that's weird activity you know like that's the weird thing. It's like watching people in their homes and and all this stuff, like invading the privacy. And but some people, if you put it together as a like a reality TV show, people would be like so like enthralled and like entertained by invading other people's privacies, and then like justifying it and saying like, no, I'm supposed to be invading your privacy because we're watching you do this. But do y'all not hear how crazy y'all sound? Like that's what the world looks like to me. But whatever. I'm just a musician just trying to sell my CDs. What do I know? What do I know? But yeah. So anyway, I was gonna show you guys. Um, so I have like some blue CDs. The thing is, like, I had a different idea with these, and I was thinking about doing something, another different idea, and I was like, this would be really cute with the like the iridescent bag, right? Because you got a little bit of color and it pops a little bit more. But I don't know. That's a future thing. We'll see if I end up doing something with that or not. Maybe or not. No. So, you know, and also I'll give you guys another little sneak peek. So I've been holding on to these flash drives for a long time, right? Haven't even opened them yet. Haven't even used them. Mainly because I was going to use this for the rebranding and the rollout for the Infatuate World of Neptune redo, right? And sell this with the video. But the thing is, because I rebranded the project and changed the names, I have to re-edit the video. The only thing is like I needed like updated software and an updated version of Premiere to edit, and it's really such a simple edit. I really just need to change the name, but I have to like access the computer. It's a whole thing. But and there's fun little detail. I'm not sure what company this is, but okay, Centin. But it's a woman-owned company, so shout out to the ladies, ladies. Um, funny enough. But yeah, apparently it's a woman-owned company. Even though I have yet to use this product yet, but look how cute this is. We got one that's got like because I told y'all, rose gold is like my aesthetic, right? Iridescent and rose gold, but it's like a rose gold like cheetah print and then rose gold flowers that has like a metallic glow to it. And so I had already sold out of the color flash drives, which I can't even believe what I'm saying. Because at one point, let me tell you, I was struggling to sell them the flash drives, but not anymore. Not anymore. I mean, even though, who's to say if people actually used it? And, I'm sure people have their own things that they may do or whatever, but whatever. Either way, they say I'm fake. I ain't noticed because my money ain't. And I mean real money selling my flash drives. And I sold out twice. I had one batch and I was like, look, I'm not going to make the new batch until I sell out the first batch. And so after the first batch sold out, I was like, okay, I'm going to make the new batch with the updated project because the first batch was Divine with the old titles and the old cover. And then once I sold out of those flash drives, I made the new batch with Infatuate World of Neptune. And so it had like the new music, same music, new title, new flash drive, new cover art, and new two songs changed names. And it just so happens that one of those songs has a video, and now I have to change the name on the video. So that's really why there's a holdup on this. But I'm excited though that I'm taking my time, and it's gonna work out how it needs to. I'm just like waiting until I can get into like a more stable situation and like clear out a lot of the things that I have to get done and things that may be a little bit confusing as it pertains to like ideas and financial stuff and like taxes and all that, which is another thing I have to like prepare for next year because I had to amend my taxes to update the fact that I've had an LLC, even though I didn't make any sales, but I invested so much and I keep my receipts. Okay, as much as people hate when I say that, and I don't care, and they'll try to discredit the receipts, they'll try to mess up the receipts. It don't matter. I got them in there because I said, even though I haven't made sales yet, but it's known that like the first like 3 to 5 years of the business is going to be like a struggle financially because you're still building the business. And I was doing music and I had a lot going on at the time, right? So I know I like believed in myself. I believed in the vision and my creativity, even when my visuals weren't as great as they can be, which I feel like they could be a lot better. they are a lot better now with the right resources and tools and equipment and stuff like that, right? And so um, I was like, look, I'm investing thousands of dollars, okay, thousands of my dollars, okay, my own personal money, thousands that I have invested into this business, right? And I'm like, I don't care what they say about me. I don't care who got a problem. I believe in me. I believe in my art. And even if it's not great now, I know if I keep working at it, it's only going to get better. And that's true because I learned about lighting, I learned about directing, editing, photography, editing the footage, and just creating a set, building with different props and stuff like that. So I've built, not just the music, but the visuals too. And, I'm very proud of how far I've gone because I just decided not to give up on myself. So I don't know who needs to hear this, but don't give up on yourself. Just keep going, even if you have the haters. Let your haters be your motivators. That's what they say. That's what they say. Because eventually you're going to come across people who are rooting for you. So anyway, I've invested thousands, thousands of dollars, my money that I spent on, equipment, clothes, costumes, props, accessories, makeup, hair, nails. Um, I mean, like the list goes on. Equipment, I mean, from the MIDI controllers, the microphone set, the software, all of that. And don't even know if anybody listening to something, but you never know. Even if your stuff has like 10 views, chances are it's really 10,000 low key, but that's another thing for another time. But like I said, thousands of dollars. Okay. And so now that I'm receiving sales on Cash App, I'm like okay, because I know there's a certain threshold where they keep in where if you make a certain amount of money, then you have to file taxes. And I'm pretty sure I've made that money. I'm pretty sure I've made that money. So like I said, I made 1,000 last month. So and that was different sources. That wasn't just Cash App. That was like Cash App, Venmo, and then once I get Zelle together, Zelle too, or wherever else they got money from me, I receive it. So thousands of dollars. And at the time, you know, I hadn't sold a CD yet, and I was struggling to push the flash drives. Unless I had like an event that I was performing at, and people got a chance to hear me sing, and then they like bought a CD, bought a flash drive, something, right? Because at the time I had purple CDs, and I sold out of my purple CDs. Okay, shout out to me selling out. I was like, let me tell you, the struggle for them first few years, even though like I believed in myself, I still would struggle with the idea that I would actually make sales. So like me being where I am right now, I'm grateful for the journey. Grateful, right? But anyway, I have spent thousands of dollars before making a sale for the first few years. And so to be at what I formed the LLC in 2020 and to be in 2025, it's been a few years. Been a few years where finally I'm at a point where I can say, yeah, I sold out of the flash drives, sold out of the CDs multiple times, sold out of the purple CDs, the first batch of Divine CDs, and then the official anniversary, I rebranded, so I was able to sell out of the Divine CDs. So the new batch of CDs were officially the Infatuate World of Neptune CDs, and then sell out of those. So I had to go back to Staples and get more CDs. And it's funny because when I'm out like pushing my product, child, I sound like a drug dealer. I'm out here on the corner pushing my product. Anyway, let me chill. Um, but really, like I'm out selling my merchandise and everything, and people are like, "You sell CDs? You still?" Yes, because people are purchasing them, even if they don't have a CD player. Some people have just got it just to support, and I received that. So yeah, that's why I'm out here making CDs, and my iridescent really cute bag. So and flash drives. So I'm excited for when I finally get to make these, right? Because I had the other five like um, assortment of colors. So it was like a batch of flash drives that were like red, orange, blue, green, and purple. And each batch I've kept one for myself, just as like a memorabilia of where I am in the journey. And speaking of, yeah, so I'm like, you can't buy this one because I have it for me. Actually, I don't think I have it on me. It's probably in my other bag, but it's fine. Um, so I've had that five because I bought two sets. The first set was the Divine version of the project, which took me a while until I actually started really hustling these last few months to sell out finally. And then I finally got to open the second set of color flash drives and do the Infatuate World of Neptune version of the project and sell those. And I sold out of those. So in like a week or something like that. I think yeah, it was like a week or two where I made the flash drives and sold out of the flash drives in a week, which look, I receive it. I receive it. And regardless of intention, because you never know why people are purchasing from you. Sometimes haters will buy something from you just to try to throw the energy off. And either way, it don't matter because God got me. Okay? God before me. And I fear no evil. And there's a lot of it out there, but I don't care because it supersedes anything that could come against me. So there's that. But anyway, I'm very proud of myself. Because I still have to do the work and telling people, hey, this is my situation. I'm in my car right now, and I make music, and I'm selling some flash drives. Do you want to support me? And some people are artists and creatives themselves, and business people, and they're like, yeah, we want to support you. And then some people maybe they don't even get the CD, but they still donate. And either way, I'm grateful. I'm very grateful for everything that's been a blessing upon me throughout this journey. And yeah, so just like I was able to finally get to the day where I can open the pack of the 5 color flash drives and sell out of that because that was the updated version of the EP. I look forward to the day where I can finally update the visual, release the visual, and then be able to sell these flash drives because I want to put the Divine Music Orion's Belt, because that's a new name of the song. Orion's Belt music video on here. So I said it here first. It's really not a secret. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been holding off on. So like once I'm able to finally re-edit the video and then, release it, roll it out, promote it, sell it, I look forward to putting that on here. And then whoever buys this, it's a souvenir of musical. I don't know. I was trying to be like ethereal, um, but it'll be basically like a time capsule of musical creation where I'm the one manufacturing this and putting it together myself versus hopefully in the near future, I can be in an office somewhere where we hire a company to mass produce the product and distribute it for me, God willing. I look forward to that day. But either way, small milestones along the way. And I'm very appreciative of how far I've come because I've had the like delusional self belief even when it was like no sales and all haters. And I was like, I don't know, I'm still gonna do this music thing because I know I'm good. I know I'm good at what I do, and somebody out there knows I'm good too. So I still was out here making the music, still putting out the songs on SoundCloud, still recording these visuals, putting together these outfits, building the set, putting together the lighting, setting up the camera in the tripod, clearing out the memory on the memory card, charging the batteries because it's a process, okay? Going to sets, scouting locations, um, putting on the costume, getting to the location, filming, going through the footage, editing the footage, building the visuals, even when it was like 15 views on YouTube. Okay. All the way till now, where I'm seeing a lot of the returns on how much I've like invested and put into the arts. And I to even say that the flash drives sold out is I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for that. And even like the CD sold out several times, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm saying that. And like, yeah, it's humble. It's humble beginnings because if you think about like mainstream artists, they are making like thousands of sales and this and that. Like, for example, like even the whole conversation around Tyla, where I think what she made only like 4,000 sales. Now I get it because of where she is in her career. Like she's already got a Grammy. She's performed at the BET Awards. So like she has a level of mainstream success where it calls for higher sales. But I'm like a girl like me that's out here grinding, okay, in the trenches, building a grassroots situation. I'm like 4,000. Now I can understand how that would be a disappointment at that level, though. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't know. I'm grateful for anything. Like I make a milestone out of everything. I'm like, you know, somebody donated $2, and I'm grateful for that. You know, because I mean every dollar adds up, right? Eventually it builds to, you know, how many $2 do you need until it becomes $100, 50? But you still have to be grateful for that $2 um, as you receive it, however you receive it. So, but then again, at the same time, not all money is good money. Not all money is good money, and we do have to be intentional about our energy. You know, that's a thing to keep in mind because it's a very real conversation. Um, However, you know, I'm gonna focus on the positive. I'm gonna do my best to focus on the positive and just be in a space of gratitude that I've been able to achieve what I have so far, just like off of hard work. And I hope I'm not covering the mic because I got all this product over here. Um, but I'm grateful for what I've been able to achieve with like just the work that I've been able to do, just like walking around in Maryland and telling people about my music and it selling, you know. So I love that. But yeah, so I have these products here. I'm gonna, you know, this will probably go back in the bag. And I don't know, I feel like my sandwich is cold by now. Definitely. I've been streaming for an hour and some change now. So let's see. Mm. Oh, we love the crispy pieces on here. All right. That's okay. We can remove it and pray for it anyway. But it's all good. I'm grateful for the hands that prepare my food. May they have to prepare the food like they would do anybody else, like they would prepare their own food. Um, but yeah, so yeah, so yeah, I'm just really grateful for the positive and for the blessings and the people who have believed in me and believed in my story and my situation and just been like helpful and at the very least just been willing to, even the people who like stop and listen and maybe they decide that they don't want to like purchase at the time for whatever reason, and that's fine, that's their business. But for the people that at least just like hear me out and give me the space to like explain my situation and my story, and and then from there make the decision whether they want to support or not. Like I respect that, just like thanks for listening, because some people would just like write you off and just not even care. And plus, and I don't take it personally, because sometimes people are busy and they're in a rush and they're like, look, I can't talk right now, I gotta go, and I respect it. Look, just like you out here rushing, getting where you gotta go, I'm rushing, trying to hustle my situation. So look, as long as you're not disrespectful, I don't take it personal. I get it. We all have things that we're working on, and I get it. Sometimes it's funny how it happens. Sometimes people, and I don't think people intend it to be, but like I just laugh at it sometimes because I'm just like, okay, all right, yeah, okay. Um, but either way, um, but that comes with it, and just like being able to have like you know tough skin to deal with the no's and the rejection sometimes, but knowing that through every no, you eventually will get to a yes. It's a numbers game, probability. We call it the law of averages or law of attraction, however you want to call it. Like, eventually, if you talk to 100 people, 10 people have to say yes, or more, you know. And these are all things that I've learned from like door to door sales. And the more people you talk, and being excited about the no, because it eventually gets you closer to the yes, right? And then not only that, but maintaining, and then something that I'm working on is like maintaining a positive energy, because you'll have different days where like you'll have like a rush where like you'll get a bunch of yeses and everybody is like, yes, I'll support, yes, I'll buy a CD, yes, I'll donate, yes, or they'll buy a CD and say, oh, keep the change, or let me follow you on social media, and all these things, right? And I'm grateful for that. And then sometimes there'll be times where it slows down, and and people are like busy, or it's just not as active as you think it would be, and so you're just kind of like you know just like, okay, this is a slow day, and sometimes those are challenging to work through. And like I said, in door-to-door sales, like we've had several times where um, those slow days happen, and you're just trying to push through, and it's like, damn, I didn't get any sales today. But then you never know, because if you maintain a positive attitude, sometimes the morning might be slow, but then if you catch that afternoon rush, then it's like everybody's like, oh yeah, let me buy something, let me get something, let me support it, or let me tell my friend about this, oh, hold on, I got somebody that I know that can help you out. And just like being in that situation, it's maintaining the positive attitude, which is something I'm working on, because I'm not even the best with it. But and I'm just saying this off of remembering what's in our like training, and I've kept that, even though I don't, well, it's not door to door sales, but like when I'm out and about, like I'll talk to people like in different spaces, and I'm just interacting with, it's cold market selling. That's what I'm looking for, the terminology. I'm like, it's not door to door, but it's cold market, where you're just you know um, tapping into a whole new market. And then luckily, because I've built an email list out of that, slowly but surely, it's looking to build into a warm market, maybe a hot market eventually. It's all a process, right? Um, but I say all that to say, in door-to-door sales, there's so many different techniques that I've learned in that's been advantageous to my business as a musician and as a entrepreneur running my own label. And just like, you know, um, they have this thing called garlic, which is, I think like eight steps to leadership or something like that. Now, forgive me if I don't remember the specifics, but I know garlic is like goal setting, I forget. um, but basically, it's just like setting goals for the day, being prepared, um, you know, being prepared, meaning like, okay, if you're going to be in a specific territory, what's the weather going to be like? Is it going to rain? Is it going to be hot? Do you have lunch that day? What's the focus for the day? What's the goal? And then also maintaining the positive attitude, because sometimes you have a high traffic day early and later on. Sometimes it's slow all day, or sometimes it's slow in the morning and then high traffic during the day, and then or it's high traffic during the day, then it slows down in the afternoon. But you have to be prepared for those things and not let the slow parts drain you or get you down or discourage you because you think, damn, I didn't get any sales. And I'm not perfect. I'm still working on that myself. But during those slow times, I know I'm like, okay, I know it's not that I'm not working hard. And then sometimes that's true too. Like sometimes you have to check yourself and be like, all right, were you really grinding as hard as you could? Were you working hard? Were you really talking to as many people as you could? Were you being intentional? Did you rehash? Because sometimes I have to work on that too. And then when there's rebuttals that come up, right? Where people say like, oh, I don't have any cash on me. And a rebuttal could be, oh, but I have Cash App and I have Venmo. And then there's been times where people are like, oh, I don't have any cash. And I'm like, I got Cash App. And I'm like, oh, okay, I have Cash App. Let me send you something. So there's times where that works. And then there's times where I know, like, I can kind of peak the vibe where, maybe I could have pushed harder, but then I was just like, nah, let me just, I'll just keep it moving. But I'm like, no, did I show up as the best, saleswoman for the day? Did I rehash how I could? Did I rebuttal through the negatives? Did I try to, network afterwards? Like, hey, make sure you follow me on social media, because even for some instances, like say if I don't get the sale or whatever, and that's fine. I'm like, look, follow me on social media. If you subscribe to my YouTube, that helps me out and get me closer to monetization. So, and then some people would do that. And then some people do that and then they unsubscribe. And that's fine. My thing is, I don't want people to subscribe to me if you don't want to, but I will put it out there. Like, hey, I'm on social media. Check out my visual art. I do visuals. I style. I edit, direct. I, do my own photos. So that's all stuff that, I keep in mind while I'm out here, just like really pushing through. And like I said, I'm not perfect. But I have kept that with me. And I kept that pack with me. I haven't looked at it in a while, and I probably should look at it soon. But it would be a part of my morning routine, because even when I was doing door-to-door sales, something we would have in the morning is called atmosphere, where we would have like this, basically like a pick me up, just kind of like to boost your day in the beginning before we get out in the field. And so we're in the office, we're hyping each other up, we're reminding each other what the goals are, getting ourselves in the mindset to know that we're going to get out here, we're going to conquer. We all have goals to reach. This is how we're going to handle the negatives. This is how we're going to flip it to the positive. And sometimes you need that, and a lot of times I probably need that more than I do. But those, like, that structure has stayed with me. So shout out to my brother for that, because my brother, he introduced me to door-to-door sales, and because of that structure, and just how I've been approaching selling my CDs, it's been a good framework for me to use as a means to make sales. And then not only make sales, like, okay, everything doesn't have to be about the sale, because sometimes it's the connection with the person. Because say someone isn't able to buy a CD, but they really support and hear your story and connect with your situation, and they want to support you. So they follow you, and maybe they can connect you with somebody else that can provide another opportunity to you. But, if you're just thinking, oh, it's about money and sales, you're not thinking about the relationship and how that can build the business, and how the relationship could be more beneficial to you than the actual sale. Because some people would just buy it and then keep it pushing, and maybe they don't even listen to the music. But if you really connect with the person, that, resonates with your situation and genuinely cares. And they say, you know what, I might not be able to help you out right now, but give me your information and I'll reach out to you, and I can help out later. And I'm trying to think of a situation where that might have happened for me. But there's definitely been times where, actually, yeah. So yeah, there was a barbershop that I stopped by, and I networked with the people there. But then I also sold my CDs, and there were some people who bought and donated, and then there was a guy there who didn't purchase anything, but I remembered his face. And so I stopped in there again. He didn't purchase, but I was like, but had a, I was building rapport basically. And so there was another time where I was out by a grocery store, and I like remember exactly where I knew him from. So I was just like, look, I'm just gonna approach like, like a regular customer. And at first I was hesitant on doing it, like, oh, should I just go in this grocery store and just get what I gotta get? I'm like, nah, push for the sale. So I introduced myself because he was with a woman at this time. And so I said, hey, I'm an artist from Jersey. I'm in my car right now. I'm selling my CDs. I make R&B music, and I'll go through the whole pitch. And he's like, hey, I know you from the barbershop. And I'm like, hey, okay, I knew you looked familiar. And so he was like, yeah, I didn't buy a CD yet, but I remembered your situation. How's everything going? And I had stopped and talked to him for a little bit, and I remembered who he was. And so, I was like, look, I'm out here hustling, putting it out here. I'm really close to my goal. I'm actually looking to move soon, but, I just need to make a few more dollars. He was like, look, when I get something in the grocery store, I'm going to buy a CD. So, him and his lady, they ended up getting a CD. So that was a situation where I might not have gotten the sale initially, but because I was networking in that space, and then I stopped to talk to him, and ask him his name and everything. Like the first few times, he remembered me, and eventually was a sale later on. So sometimes it's just better to stay consistent, and everything doesn't have to be about the money, but just the relationship and just like the heart of why you're doing the thing that you're doing. So I don't know who needs to hear this, but sometimes it's about the human to human connection. And I know sometimes in sales, just because I've been in retail for a long time, some sales are just transactional, right? And it is what it is, because say if somebody's in a rush, or say if somebody's like, they care about the situation, they're just gonna buy something, but they don't really like, you don't build like a deeper connection with the conversation, and that's fine, that's okay. But in those instances where you can like connect with somebody and build a conversation, those can be valuable moments too. Like for example, there was a time where like I was by a plaza and I was selling my CDs, and I stopped this lady, and she looked really nice. I think she had like all white on, and she had like, she was just dressed nice. And so like I gave her a compliment, because I try to give people compliments. Like it doesn't hurt to give somebody a compliment, right? We all need to hear something positive about ourselves. And so I try to, if I see like someone looking nice, I was like, oh girl, okay, I see your hair. And sometimes I don't even do the sale. Sometimes I'll just say like, okay girl, you look fabulous today, and then just keep it pushing, because it doesn't hurt to just put positivity out there, right? Anyway, so this lady was looking nice. I told her about my CD situation. She didn't buy a CD, but she did donate $5. And but we had a conversation where she was like, how did she ask me? She was like, she didn't ask me if I was Christian, but she asked me if I was saved. That's how she asked me. She said, are you saved? And I was like, you mean like baptized? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, I did have a baptism, but it wasn't really the best experience. I kind of wanted, I would like to do it again. And so we were talking about faith. And so even though that wasn't a situation where like she bought a CD and I like made a bunch of money, but I really valued that interaction with her because um, it reminded me that I needed to like tap back into faith. And I know I've kind of been slipping lately. I've just been so focused on my situation. I haven't really like reconnected with God how I needed to. Even though like God is always with me and I always speak to God. But she kind of like was that anchor for me in that moment. And was like, are you saved? And I'm like, get me together right here in the middle of the mall. I'm like, okay. Um, but yeah, and so I'm like, oh, okay, let me yeah, and so we're talking about baptism and everything, and just and she was like, make sure you talk to him, and you pray through your situation and everything, and so like that ended up being a valuable interaction beyond it just being me selling my CDs because like she reminded me that I needed to get back on my P's and Q's as it pertains to the Lord. So I'm like, all right, get me together, Miss Lady. And she was telling me about her church, which I did not go to because like it's a little it's a little bit away. But I mean, I do remember the church, but it was either way, it was a valuable interaction that I had with a human in the midst of me out here hustling. So sometimes it's not all about the hustle, but it's really about like what is the gem that the interaction leaves you with. And yeah, hopefully that could be a word for somebody. I know that was a reminder for me, but whoever's watching, I don't know if you're in sales. I don't know if there's some aspiring artists out there. I don't know if there's other creatives and just, because it's more than just creating. Like if you really want to um, push your art or creativity and get out there. And that's something that I struggled with recently for a while, just re socializing with humans, and it's still a struggle because every day I go back and forth between whether I'm gonna fight or not. I'm not gonna lie, but I tried to be positive. I tried to look at the bright side. Um, yeah, but I say that to say, um, yeah, because at one point socializing with people wasn't that hard for me, and I was cool with a lot of people. It was easy for me to strike up a conversation with folks. So if I had this drive and hustle during that time, I probably would have achieved a lot more, especially back when I was in Down Mars. But now, um, for like, I'm not gonna lie, like before I started really selling the CDs again, like it was a struggle for me because I'm just like, I don't want to interact with people. Like, I was like, I do not want to deal with people and their shenanigans, and I'm just trying to sell my CDs and be great. Like, why can't people just be kind individuals? Like, I don't know, things like that. Um, but then you have to realize, like, it is, it is what it is. Either I let that stop me or I push through that. And in some instances, like, it's hard to push through, and sometimes people don't and don't make it. But I was just like, look, I mean, I don't need to be like the biggest artist in the world, but I know I have talent. Like I know, like somehow, some way, I have this gift of song and music and art and visuals, and it doesn't have to be like this hidden meaning and these symbolisms in the background. But I can just make art that feels good to me, and it be enough, and that should be enough. you know, and especially because like most of the songs that I've been making in the last few years have been motivational because that was a lot of the content that pulled me through the toughest of times. Like I have songs about surviving, feelings of, because we're on YouTube, I got to censor, but surviving feelings of wanting to be unalived or dealing with people bullying you or, dealing with people hating on you, but you know that you have something dope to offer in the world. And that's not easy to go through. And I know, even though my experience feels, I don't know, like, who can relate? But so many people can relate. Even if it's not how I'm dealing with it, there are people who get bullied. As shitty of an experience as that is, whether it's people in school or grown ass adults in corporate spaces, like, people bully folks, and the shit sucks. And sometimes you might need to hear a song to say, like, fuck them people. Like, you're fabulous anyway. Or you might need to hear a song that says, like, look, keep going. Like, don't give up on yourself. I'll say that again. Sometimes you might need to hear a song that says, keep going and don't give up on yourself. Because I know I needed to hear that. As cheesy as it may be sometimes. But there are times when we go through it and life is tough. And you sometimes, I don't know, people may feel like they don't have anybody to go to. Or the people that they do have to go to don't get it. And, and I'm like, look, if I could do anything with my existence here, regardless of how the people in my particular lifetime feel about me, if I could put music out in the world that inspires people to keep going and go for their dreams and, like, continue to live, maybe if it's not for my lifetime, maybe people, I don't know, 50 years from now can stumble upon my music and it could be a song that saves somebody's life, then I did what I was supposed to do. And, people during my lifetime miss out on it, then so be it. But, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes we get wrapped up in the wanting everything to, like, feel right. I did. That was my point. The point that I was making in this particular tangent, because there are many, is that it was hard for me to, like, want to interact with people and, like, push my music and, like, try to sell my CDs, because I'm like, the world hates me. Who's gonna listen to my music? Even though everybody be referencing the songs. Whatever. That's beside the point. But, I know that I have good music, and I know doing good with my music. I know a majority of the music that I've been making are important, and not, like, because I feel like I'm holier than now, but, like, I know it's important to say, hey, don't give up on yourself. Like, life may suck right now, but don't give up. That's important to hear. Even though there are days where I'll be wanting to fight these humans. But, and I have to remind myself that. So, that's my point. My point is, like, look, I got to remind myself, Narisse, you're just trying to do good here on the planet, on this ghetto ass planet Earth, trying to do some good with a word and inspire some of these humans. And maybe the people don't get it now. I mean, but how many of us have discovered things that may have existed or was created during a time that was before our time, but it inspired us? Like, say if you're into philosophy and maybe you discovered Socrates, or you're into architecture and you discovered, like, an engineer from the 1800s. They're not alive now, but their work inspired you, but what if they never made that work? So I don't know. So whoever out there in the world, make your work regardless of what's going on in your lifetime. If it happens to be a trash or shitty experience, but whatever. That's my TED talk for the day. I have a cold ass sandwich to eat right now. And I made my CDs, and the work that I have to do requires me to be on the computer and share private information. So I'm not going to do a screen share, but I figured I'd, put a word out there for the humans, and whoever hears it hears it. Sometimes it falls upon deaf ears, but may this reach who it needs to when they need to hear it. Yeah. And God bless you. May you all be prosperous and have a blessed day. And try not to tussle with people if need be. but stand up for yourself. Don't let nobody just push you around. And if you're dealing with bullies, sometimes, I don't know, sometimes people do need to get popped in the face one time. I don't know. I'm not trying to advocate for violence. I'm not. That's not what I'm trying to do. But sometimes you got to set a boundary because, we all deserve to live out here. We all deserve to just be respected and be left alone, you know? And sometimes people try you, and then you just have to let people know that there's consequences on trying it. Okay? I don't know. I'm not saying you got to dangle people in the sky or nothing, but that's not what I'm saying. I mean, I'm not saying you got to dangle people in the sky, but you just have to remind people, like, look, not today, Satan. Not today. Okay? All right. That's funny. Anyway, all right, y'all. Um, Listen to the music, SoundCloud, YouTube. Um, if you want to purchase an EP, DM me on Instagram, X, Twitter, TikTok, one of them apps. I'm on there. You could donate to my Cash App. It's NarisseM, Venmo, Narisse hyphen McAllister hyphen one. I put two fingers up, one. Um, and or if you just want to donate, obviously grateful, thank you. And yeah, check me out. Check me out. Check me out. And I hope everybody has a great day. And hopefully, somewhere in the midst of this, there was a word for somebody out here. I don't know. Most of it, maybe it's probably a word for me, but I'm sure it could assist somebody. And look, like I said, I ain't got all the answers. Okay, I'm not perfect. Every day, I fight rage. Every day, until I don't have to, until it's not a daily occurrence, and I can really just like live in like, what they say, like the soft life. That must be nice. Must be nice. Um, you know, I wish that upon myself and for all of us. May we have moments where we enjoy the soft life and don't have to stress out about people, places, and things are just working out, and things are smooth, and life works out, and you're happy, and the good moments feel good, and you could just receive it and not feel guilty about it, or you can just relax for a moment and not guilt trip about not being productive enough, because I feel like I know I'm guilty of that. Sometimes I'm hard on myself for not being productive enough. Find the balance, of course, but at the same time, like, give yourself grace. I don't know, all the positive things, all the positives. All right, much love to y'all, and have a good day.